I want to turn to what's being called the Day of Action. Senator Sanders is leading the charge to hold President-elect Trump accountable when it comes to preserving entitlements like Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Sanders, along with Democratic leaders Schumer and Pelosi, are asking their colleagues to help plan rallies on Sunday, January 15th, the day before MLK Day. So what kind of pressure are the Democrats hoping to put on the Republican Party?
People power pressure, and they couldn't have a better leader in that. Senator Bernie Sanders is the best at it. He showed throughout this presidential election that you can galvanize millions of people throughout this country to come together on causes of what is just, what is right, and what is good. So they certainly have the right one at the helm. And again, to hold President-elect Trump accountable for what he said on the campaign trail. I mean, Betty, he said that he would protect Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. We know that there are millions of people in this country, and especially when we think about our elders who, but for some of those programs, would be living in abject poverty. And so we cannot allow the Republican agenda to take that away. And President-elect Trump is on the opposite side of many of his Republican colleagues, especially those in leadership, when it comes to preserving those types of programs. And so we got to put the pressure on President-elect Trump. That's number one. But also, coupled in that pressure is also to show him that millions of people in this country will support his efforts to preserve those programs.
And before I let you go, I want to get your take on voting rights. Take a look at some of the restriction that we have seen. And leading up to this year's election, across the country, more than 800 fewer polling locations than in 2012 and 2014. In Florida, North Carolina, Wisconsin, the early voting period was cut down to mere days. And in your state, 400,000 registered voters were purged from the rolls without notice. So what are you keeping your eye on in 2017?
Well, it's a flat-out shame, Betty. And since the election of President Obama, my Republican colleagues have been trying to strip away voting rights all across this country. The gutting of the VRA, that is not the way a representative democracy should perform. And that certainly is not how people who are elected, who depend on people to vote for them for a living, should respond. And so we got to continue to push. I'm hoping that Democrats will continue to push, and also some Republicans who believe that the VRA needs to be strengthened. We have to do that, Betty. Many of these things, this is an omnipartisan. The whole notion that we would have one woman, one man, one vote is an omnipartisan issue. And the democracy, all of those beautiful words, how we praise the foundations of this country is really based on everyday women and men in this country being able to exercise their right to vote, being able to express their will through the power of the ballot box. And let people go out and compete, but you shouldn't cheat. You shouldn't try to rig the system. You got to earn those votes, and we can do a much better job in this country. I think choice voting should be something that we should debate. The Help America Vote Act, that money is dried up. We need more machines. We need more machines that are up to date in this country.
So you're saying take action now. Don't complain later and say, oh, why didn't we do something? The election is upon us. Take action now.
Ahead of time, and both parties sometimes are guilty of not standing up for voting rights, Betty, only when it is in their interest. And it should always be in the interest of us in the United States to ensure that everybody, no matter who they want to vote for, has that right to exercise the vote.
All right, former Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, thank you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Betty.